It was I know I'm looking a little rough. We've been in hermit mode, dealing with a lot. It's not easy when you want to be sober and you fighting the urge and you battling balance and not trying to judge myself and just going with the you know just going with being patient, being patient with myself, being patient with nature, being patient with God, Mother Earth, Mother Universe, Mother Multiverse, Mother Gaia, Newt, whatever you want to call it. It's just been, you know, I've also been feeling like that natural high when you just high off of life. Anybody that's a smoker, you know what I mean. When you haven't smoked in a few days or a few weeks or a few months, and then you just feel that body high or that like that leftover high. I don't know if that I don't know if that's part of the cravings or if that's just, you know, the hemp or the CBD still remaining in your system or the THC still in your system or whatever. But we're gonna, for lack of better words, we don't want to get the video taken down, so we're not gonna use any more profane words, right? We're not gonna, use those trigger words for the algorithm. We're probably not even gonna use the A word or the T word or the J word or the H word. There's a lot of symbols we can't use, or I am gonna start practicing refraining from using because I wanna be able to build this channel. I wanna be able to get to more subscribers. I wanna be able to get to more supporters and more people that not only is waking up, but have woken up and have begun teaching. Not only the people that have woken up and have begun teaching, but the people that have woken up, begun teaching, because living your dreams and chasing your nightmare is the new will and the new rewiring of the brain, because we had to unwire it from the previous will, but we was willing ourselves to do a whole bunch of unbeneficial stuff, things that wasn't conducive to our beneficial nature, especially to our growth and to our future and to our children and to ourselves. So now our new will is we will do better because we know now. And now that you know better, you do better. We'll still make mistakes. Nobody's perfect. Nobody is here to be perfect. We're here to be better. We're not here to be perfect. And we're not here to be better than each other. We're here to be better than the yesterday version of ourselves. And once we focus on that, we will inadvertently be better and beneficial to all those around us, even nature, because we will have a clear discernment, we will have a clear focus, we will have that clear vision. We will be able to see, we will be able to hear, we'll be able to speak, and we'll be able to move as we get our souls, as we get our souls in order. We align with our hearts, and then we flush out our mind. Because once your stomach starts to ache, and you start to get them belly cramps, you're going to want to take a crap. And then when you take that crap, you're going to be clean and clear, and your heart going to start feeling lighter. And then your mind is going to start feeling like you need something. Drink some water. Drink water until you feel sick after drinking water. So that way you don't feel like drinking no soda. You don't feel like drinking no liquor. You don't feel like eating no crap, no sugar. None of that. Drink water until you feel sick. And ignore those cravings, because those are those parasites that still wanna, you know, they need something. You just flushed out what they was feeding off of. So now that they're not feeding off of that waste, your body is cleared. It's no longer a graveyard. So you don't have all that waste in you. So now your body is good. And now those parasites that still latching onto you, that want to pull you back, they want some of that sugar. Don't give it to them. Flush them out with water. And then when you feel hungry or you feel those cravings, that's that, that's that, what's it called? That's them withdrawals. You withdrawing from, one second. Yeah, that's those withdrawals from that drug. Because sugar is a drug, right? Same way you feel withdrawals from quitting any type of other, you know, prescribed drug or street drug, wherever you may find it. It's just got a little bit chilly out of nowhere, but that's okay. We're going to continue. But when you fight that craving and you fight that urge, you get to a point where now you're in control and you're not feeling for those sugars. You're not feeling and feeding those cravings. You're not feeding those parasites. And then you're going to feel like taking the bathroom again. You're going to feel like using the bathroom again. And then once you do that, it's like your body goes through this stage where the things that feed off of you, if you're not eating at those same moments and those same times that you would normally eat, they think that something's wrong, something's off, something starts to change. And once your body starts to change, every 7 days, your body goes through changes. So when them days come and you're not feeding yourself those sugars, you're not feeding yourself those vices, you're not feeding yourself the same things at the same times, you might decrease the amounts, right? You might do it in smaller amounts. So they start to find ways to get out because they feel like the body is not surviving, or the body is not, you know, a beneficial source of energy. So they start searching for ways to escape the body. And once they escape the body, you're going to start seeing lighter. Color is going to start being brighter. Light is going to, like, your eyes are going to start seeming, you're going to start seeing things as if, the light was a little dim, right? That's how that late doctor said, whenever you're blind, it doesn't have anything to do with your eyes. It's your intestines. And I remember going on a whole year rant talking about, health and, having y'all join me in my runs and all that stuff. I had to get sitting, I had to get sat down. And when you get sat down as somebody that has ADHD and just, love to be moving all over and can't sit still, it's like It's hard when you got to be sat down and you don't know how long you're gonna have to sit down. And once you try to jump up and go again, you end up jumping the gun, and then you gotta, oh, it's a false start. Now you gotta go back to the start line. Whew. Excuse me. But yeah, you know, I ain't trying to jump the gun, you know, and the same things that happened before is happening again. Like, people would come with ideas. People would, try to get you into friend circles. People would try to get you in relationships. And if you don't feed those vices and you don't feed those drugs, because your drug might not be sugar. You might not like sugar at all, right? You might not you might not have a vice, right? Your vice might be, you know, um, your vice might be friendships, right? And let's say somebody has, you know, let's say somebody wants to be your friend and you haven't had a friend, or let's say you've been in horrible relationships and now somebody wants to be in a relationship and it feels or it seems or it sounds so good, or you know your business hasn't taken off and now somebody sends you this proposal or this offer and it sounds so sweet, it sounds good, sound good. I used to say that all the time, sound good. I still say it now because it always sounds good, but everything that sounds good, you know you got to listen to it a little bit more and then you'll know it's not really good. It might be good for the other party, but it's not good for you because, if they're coming to you, now you have something they want. And whatever that something is, you might not be in a position to where you can manage it or you can have it be feasible to where it's in your majority control. And if y'all watch Shark Tank, y'all would know about majority control. You go on there, you don't want to give them 51% of your company and you own, you know, the minority portion of it, because then it's no longer yours. So once you're at that point where, you know, you're significantly established enough to where you can be feasible to help others when they reach out, because, there's going to be a lot of people reaching out, especially when you're doing things that's different, genuine, and it could change the world. Not it can change the world, but while we are changing ourselves, that is what's changing the world. That's what we're here to do. And that's what I'm here to, you know, try to help you to understand through my actions and my examples and being used as an example, right? I'm being used by the universe, not misused. A lot of people will misuse you and make you feel empty. But when the universe, God, Mother, when you get used for a purpose, you might feel beat down, but you won't feel drained. You will feel anxious, annoyed, angry, sad. You'll feel emotions, but you won't feel drained. When you feel drained, you know the difference between feeling drained and feeling like you want to get up and go. When you feel drained, you just want to sit down there and just ponder about what went on to make you feel like you just had all this energy, and now all of a sudden you feel like a flat tire, right? You feel like just sitting there and not doing nothing and wondering like why you feel like that. And when you spend time alone, it helps you understand that. And I was going to talk about that in relationship, in a relationship sense. I'm done with that other bit. Let's get on to another bit. I'm happy where I am. I got a roof over my head. I got food. I'm rebuilding my finances. You know, it takes a while for a man to rebuild. It takes a while for a man to build, period. But it takes even longer for a man to build after a divorce. So I'm doing both, right? I'm building as a man and I'm building after a divorce, which, you know, it was it was building up to something. It had potential, right? But the thing about building and the thing about potential is when it's something that you see in somebody that's not their potential, right? Because you can't change somebody else. You can't make somebody else march to the beat of your drum, right? You got to understand their love language. You got to understand their love pattern, their breath pattern, their heart pattern, their moods, motions, and all that stuff. And if your patterns don't synchronize with theirs, it's not gonna, it's gonna sound like 6 Feet Under, the heavy metal band. And if y'all don't know who 6 Feet Under is, search up there. You could go on YouTube and just search up 6 Feet Under. I love heavy metal, rock, 80s rock, all that fantasy metal, speed metal, right? Glam metal, glam rock, right? But when one of my friends played 6 Feet Under, I was like, nah, that was just like, it's a thin line between angels and demons and all that, you know, stuff like that. But yeah, that was just straight on the other side, right? So it was like that. We just wasn't a match. So what we were building, I saw all the potential where, the other person, she didn't want that specific life with me, right? Because women, men, we don't run from the things we love, right? We don't misuse the things we love. We don't mistreat the things we love, right? You have something that you've wanted for so long. When you finally get it, you know, you might be so gentle with it that you don't even use it for a little bit, right? Or you get a brand new car, you have that honeymoon phase. But certain people that actually love cars, they always take care of their cars. Like I see Slim Thug, shout out to Big Slim. He always showing to motivate young, you know, entrepreneurs and young black millionaires coming up, you know, the opportunity that you can have by being an independent boss, by being an independent business. Like Jay-Z said, I'm not a businessman. I'm a business man. Let me handle my business. Damn. And just showing, to everybody that you can have it too, right? So when you love something, you don't misuse it, you don't mistreat it. You actually treat it with extra care, extra love, right? You might get a security system to surround your house and even put some inside of your house because you care so much about the things that's valuable to you. So, you know, until you get to a point where someone is pursuing you to spark the same pursuit that you would ensue into them, don't chase after anybody. If it's not a pursuit, it's a chase. And if it's a chase, it's always going to be running from you. If it's a pursuit, it's a potential for happiness, like the pursuit of happiness, not the chase, right? Because, that's crazy. I said Slim and he going live right now. That's how you know it's all in alignment. Like Big Sean said, when the stars align, you gotta do like you gotta when the stars align, you gotta do like the solar system and plan it out. But yeah, it's just a lot of blessings, right? And shout out to Zachariah Sitchins, right? Shout out to the master teacher. Um, Damn, I just draw a blank right then and there. Phase One talk about him all the time, and I just forgot his name. Well, shout out to Phase One because I know Phase One. Shit. Hey, anyway, it takes at least a year by yourself in order for you to go through the motions, go through craving somebody, a relationship, a friend, a companion, an animal, something there other than yourself, and being by yourself and being with yourself. It takes at least a year. For me, I'm telling you what I went through. I'm starting right now documenting, just taking into document the things that transpired during the year that I spent by myself. I'm still by myself, and I'm actually gonna continue to leave it like this, right? Mother's blessing, I get lucky again and I get blessed soon, and then I can share that blessing with you. Until then, I'm going to continue to be grateful for the blessings that I have and be loud and proud like I always have been, and being bright in my colors, you know, so we could bring out the sun, so we could bring the sun out. When we bring the sun out, we're doing something good. When we bring the sun out, we're doing it just like we should. When we bring the sun out, we take the boys out the hood. When we bring the sun out, everybody living good, and that we do it as we should. It's all good. It's all good. But I love y'all, yo. It takes at least a year for you to get here, for it to be, for it to just be. Like, I ain't even draw a blank. It was just a moment of silence because that's exactly what it is. When you take that time by yourself, you can have whatever you can do whatever, right? But look at the greatest. They had a lot of time where you didn't see them. You might have seen them, out and about sometimes, but they weren't with anybody. They weren't partying. They weren't, you know, in the cameras. They weren't at somebody else's spot. They were work, home, or the office, the gym, it's just self-development, self-development, self-development. And you can't, you look at it like, oh, this person fell off, and then boom, album of the year, video of the year, Golden Globe, Oscar, Emmy, BET Awards, Soul Train Awards, Hip Hop Awards, Caribbean Awards, Grammys. So I'm just in it right now. I'm feeling it. So taking that time and focusing on my mind, it just helped me. It helped me get to this point. This shit hit like a roll joint. But I'm just being blunt. I ain't never gonna front. But like Lloyd Banks said, I teach y'all to stunt. Let me get off here. It's been long enough. Almost a half hour. Got nature surrounding me, making me feel good. Yeah, it takes that year. It takes a year. Once you take that year, you'll realize, like, there's there's actually good people around. It's just too many people around you to see the good and the bad. So it'll just be hard for you to think clearly. It'll be hard for you to process those thoughts. That's why it's hard for people to get to the point of genius. They have the potential. They may not have the access. They may not have the connections, but they have the access and the potential. They may have the access and the connections, but no potential. Some people have all of that, but no will, because our will have been programmed to want nothing, to lust after a whole bunch of nothing. And that's how we wound up with nothing, because we wanted a bunch of nothing. That's why I don't focus on money. Everybody talking about money. Ever since I was in school, I mean, I never had money growing up, but for some reason, whenever it was time to eat, we had something, even if it was just bread and peanut butter or bread and, you know, some tea. Still had something to put in our belly. My father always made sure we was taken care of, even when, you know, he had to give us up and had to take me back. He was always making sure we had what we needed, just like his father. He might not have bought them shoes and clothes and all that stuff, but they had money. They had food, a roof over their heads, money for school, money for books, money for their education, and all the other stuff. So you have to forgive where your parents weren't able, because they have a life too. Just like how you have your feelings and you have your emotions and you're, oh, this person effed me over, or this person did this or that to me. Your parents have that same type of mentality, and they might not have healed. They might not have had the extra money because they had you, so they couldn't go to therapy. So their therapy was a vice. Their therapy was to turn up. Their therapy was to drown out all the stress, right? Their therapy was to, you know, ride with the devil, because it was too hard to ride with the angels. Too much thoughts, too much things that would come up in your head. That's why I tell you, is when I smoke, I take that time and I use it to slow down the thoughts. And I take one thought and I process that thought. And then once that thought is fully dissected, like how we did in science class, right? Like we would dissect owl pellets, frogs, rats, and all that bullshit. So I used that and I incorporated it with my thoughts, right? And then you see on the internet all this hits the blunt, and then you think about some stupid random shit. Well, when I hit the blunt, I think about my thoughts. I think about my feelings. I think about everything that happened today, yesterday, all the way back through the years, because I'm always thinking about what's going to happen tomorrow. And if I think about what happened yesterday, I can put into a formula of what could potentially be tomorrow. Just like when Doctor Strange was sitting there figuring out the outcomes, you can do the same thing with your personal life, right? What happened? And you have to be so brave to take accountability for the shit you did. Because if you don't do that, you will never be able to see the future. You will never be able to see the past. You will only be able to see what your stupid, ignorant, naive, arrogant, narcissistic ass is capable of seeing. And until you accept that you're a piece of shit, narcissistic ass, you ain't gonna be able to get past that. Like I remember saying, like I used to be stupid. All the things that my father called me, I used to believe that. And I went and I fixed those things. I thought those were things that was wrong with me. So it's easy for me to see what's wrong with me and then change those things. So it's easy for people to, it's easy for, I'll just leave it like that. Because sometimes you can't blame things on the devil or evil or the enemy, right? It's just people knowing how to use people, right? So people would know those things and use that against me. Confirmation burp, motherfucker. People would see those. Shout out to Jadina. She started that shit. I'm like, you just have acid reflux or some shit. Drink some water, you'll stop burping, or it'll come out a little bit clearer. But whatever. It happens when you talk a lot, right? Your body got to get that gas out. So people would see those things and they would use it against you. They would try to love bomb you, right? And it's crazy because when you accept the things that you see as your flaws, then you'll be able to turn it into flawlessness. When you accept your pain and you see it as your own pain and you don't try to put that pain on anybody else, like I don't go up to anybody else and be like, yo, I had a shitty childhood, right? How shitty was your childhood? Let's compare it. Let's see who had the worst childhood, right? I don't do that, right? When somebody's talking about what happened in their life, I listen and then I keep listening, You thought I was going to say I listen and then I respond. No, I listen and I keep listening because sometimes somebody just might need you to listen the fuck to them. And when you listen, they get to, you can become that catalyst for that person to find the answers they were looking for within themselves by speaking about whatever it is that aches them. So when I listen, I don't interrupt them and talk about what happened to me. I don't interrupt them and be like, oh yeah, yo, I this, that, and the third. Man, let me tell you something. Blah, 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 blah. Like, I hate when people do that, it's because they too need somebody to listen. And it happened a couple times. It don't happen a lot. It don't have to happen a lot for me. It happened a couple of times, and then I realized I'm not gonna be able to speak to anybody because I couldn't talk to my dad. So I was gonna try to talk to my friends, female companions, female friends, you know, girlfriends, and it didn't work, right? It worked a little bit with my friend Shayna, right? Because she's a Sagittarius, December 10th, just like, same birthday we share. And, I was able to communicate with her because with Sagittarius, we have that ability to communicate without speaking, right? Our ability to use telepathy is good. It's like Hancock, when him and the woman got together, they're more powerful or whatever, right? So when you team up with the same sign, whatever your ability is probably more, heightened, right? So Geminis, I guess they're able to be more balanced because their duality. So they'll have another person to, you know, good cop, bad cop type thing. But you got to be able to understand and control your fucking power. A lot of people, you get your shit taken away because you take advantage of your power. You go off of the reins with your shit. And that's what I mean by people will know that shit and use it against you. There's only one level of darkness. You can only accomplish one thing doing evil crap, right? When you use light, you can accomplish so much more. There's so much more to life than the one thing that you can do with darkness is destroy. What do you get from destruction besides a couple of worthless shit that you can enjoy just for a couple years of your life, and then you wound up in a Rico, or you wound up mysteriously disappeared, right? Gone without a trace, right? Because whoever paid you, they don't intend to have you, live out your life and then speak about this stuff on your deathbed when you're feeling guilty about it like everybody else did. And they just evolved and learned their lesson. So it doesn't pay me to trade future lifetimes for a few years of enjoyment in a expiring world. Right? That's like trading the grain field for a loaf of bread that's expiring tomorrow, and you need to eat for the whole month or the whole year or the rest of your life, and you're about to trade your whole farm that you can replenish for a loaf of bread, right? You're about to trade the trees that they use to make the money and trade your heart chakra, which is green, and you're about to accept that green. Or if it's $100 bills, it's blue. Your throat chakra is blue. So you're going to trade that blue, right? That truth for a lie, right? Because the $100 bill is not real. it doesn't mean anything, right? 40:04 on the clock while I said that on the timer, right? So search up that angel number, right? You're going to trade the green and the blue for something that ain't true to you, and you're going to sacrifice your soul for an expiring world. I can't do that. I can't trade my daughter or my son's life because daddy need to buy a new car, or daddy need to buy a mansion real quick, or daddy need to get some jewels, or daddy need to go to Johnny Dang. Shout out to Johnny Dang. I feel like, you know, there's nothing wrong with jewelry. That's decoration. But when you glorify it and that becomes you, right? Like Iron Man told the little kid, if you're nothing without the suit, you don't deserve the suit. I'm everything without money. I'm everything without decorations and jewels. When I wear bright colors, it's to remind my soul that I'm a rainbow child, a true rainbow child, a true child of the sun, a true child of the earth. I don't wear my colors to I wear my colors to shine bright, right? I wear my colors to be noticed. I wear my colors to encourage and to inspire. Like my friend, well, late friend, ex-friend, whatever you want to call it, Shayna, she said it best. I aspire to inspire. And see, that's the thing about Sagittarius, right? We're very creative in the things that we say. Like I listen to Jay-Z a lot, and you know, coming up when I was small, I used to think, and right before he would release an album or a track or a song or whatever, I would be lost in my mind or in my thoughts. And a lot of artists would make music, and I would listen to the lyrics to, just to see if I could find something relatable to me, to my situation and what I'm going through. And you know, like any Sagittarius artist, I could relate to because I'm a Sagittarius. People might think, oh, you talking about zodiac signs, blah blah blah. But those same people that like those same people that discredit astrology are the same people that need a GPS to get to where they gotta go. Astrology is just a GPS, right? Just because somebody has your same zodiac sign doesn't mean they have your same attributes, right? You gotta you got to do a whole bunch of different shit for that, right? That's just your sun sign, right? You just match in, how do I put this into words, right? You will just match in minimal physical attributes, right? It won't be too much spiritual connections until you get deeper into, the time of birth and all them other stuff and the person themselves and how far they have gotten into accepting themselves. Because once you accept yourself, it'll be easier for you to understand astrology, right? Because you could say, oh, you're a Scorpio, or you're a Gemini or a Sagittarius. I don't like y'all, or whatever y'all are, blah blah blah, right? That doesn't mean anything about that zodiac sign. That has everything to do with your ability to ignore red flags, abandon yourself, and betray God by not speaking up and potentially assisting somebody in bettering themselves because of the behavior that they're displaying to you, especially if you don't perceive their behavior, you don't perceive your calling out their behavior as, you know, trying to change them or fix them or anything like that. You just want them to be aware that, certain things or saying certain things or doing certain things is just not going to be beneficial in building relationships, right? Because if you're speaking to somebody, or if you're speaking to, you know, a child, you don't want to be calling them out their name. So if you want to get your message across, you want to use proper delivery, so to speak, right? So it's not like you're trying to change them or anything like that. But that's just, on that aspect of astrology and zodiacs, right? So once you get past your ability to choose and your ability to see people, you'll become more aligned and more interacted with people that's just like you. And then you'll have to get to the point where you've done that internal work with yourself, knowing that, all right, I did this work. I know what's my flaws. I know what's um my good side and my bad side, my balances, my good and my dark, right? So boom, if I meet somebody that's a fellow Gemini, or if I meet somebody that's a fellow Capricorn, or if I meet somebody that's a fellow Taurus, I'm gonna know, okay, Tauruses are, they're kind, hard shell, but once you see past the hard shell, and once you see past you know, the mean mug, you'll see a kind heart. Once you get past the nitpicking, or the not nitpicking, the what's it called, when you make fun of, like when you joke around, like you jokingly play around with somebody, like you teasing, right? So when you get past the teasing and you realize, oh, they're not insulting, they're teasing, because they're not trying to, make you cry or make you feel bad. There might be a little bit of dark humor in there. So once you get past the dark humor, then you'll be able to see, oh, this person is actually really funny, and the way that they see things is like this or that, right? Or um yeah, you get past the outer layers, and then you'll be able to see, and you'll be able to, you know understand that person internally, because one, patience, two, you understand yourself and your balance, and you're aligned within yourself, so kind of you get the gist of how long it would take for you to either align with someone else, or understand that other person. And if it doesn't get to it, and if it gets to a point where they don't align with you, or you can't understand them, or you can't align with them, then it don't work. And then we get to the point where you start forcing stuff, and you shouldn't force anything. But astrology is just a GPS to the soul, a GPS to the person, a GPS to everybody. But yeah, I'm gonna end it here because I gotta go to the bathroom. I gotta piss like a racehorse. Um, should I pause it or come back? Nah, I'm gonna leave it right there. All right, I'm gonna talk to y'all later. Put some in the comments for me. Put a green heart in the comments for the color today. It's Green Day. Love y'all.